Hey, remember this cartoon? I'm going to move on from that and talk about minimum wage laws. Minimum wage laws set the base price for wages. You can't get paid any less than this per hour for any job. So in the United States, 7.25. Illinois, it's 8.25. Illinois tip earners is 4.80. Now, what happens if we set the minimum wage law above equilibrium wage rate? If we do that, then we're forcing companies to pay people more than more than what supply and demand has set the wage at. If that happens, companies aren't able to hire as many workers as they would have otherwise. So what effectively happens is the higher the minimum wage laws set minimum wage, the higher unemployment gets. The higher minimum wage laws are, the more likely you are to be unemployed. Because companies cannot hire as many people at that rate. This is just a summary of minimum wage law throughout history. It started at 25 cents an hour and has gone up steadily until today. We're at 7.25. Now, labor unions. Labor unions are groups of workers who come together to demand increased wages and improved working conditions. Now, they do this by threatening to strike. This is the most powerful tool that the labor unions have. And basically what it is all the workers get together and say, hey, if we don't get an increase in wages, we will all stop working. All at the same time, just stop working until we get a wage increase. This hurts employment. This hurts employers. It puts pressure on employers because they can't sell the products that those workers have been producing. Generally, unions attempt to increase demand for union labor by advertising. You hear people buy American, save American jobs. And they also provide trainings for union members to increase their productivity. Now, you should know that if you get hired at a union shop, you generally don't get asked to join the union. You're just in it. You have to join it. You don't have a choice. The good thing about that is that the union will then protect you if anybody files a complaint against you. If your employer tries to fire you for no reason, the union will look out for you. The union will try to get you higher pay, and they'll try to work on getting you better working conditions. The bad thing is that you have to pay union dues, which is kind of like an extra tax, I guess. It's it's just a percentage of your paycheck comes out every week. Now there are states that have right to work laws, and what these are is they're laws that make it illegal to require union membership in order to work. And so if you start working at a place that has a union, they have to ask you if you want to join the union. And you can, if you'd like, say no. There are 21 states in the country that have right to work laws. Illinois is not one of them. We'll see which states are in a second here. Now, all the states in blue are right-to-work states. They're generally more conservative states, whereas the states in, I'm going to go with that's a yellowish color, generally more liberal states, more union friendly. Now let's figure out how we have, when we say the unemployment, when we talk about unemployment, we're talking about a small section of the population. And so we're going to figure out how we get to deciding who counts as unemployed. So of the entire population of the country, we take out people who are under 16, people who are in armed forces or in the military, and we take out people who are institutionalized in prison or a mental institution. What we have left over are people who are non-institutionalized adult civilians, okay? Then we have the civilian labor force, and we have people not in the labor force. People not in the labor force include students. If you're going to college, if you're 20 years old and a full-time student and you don't have a job, you're not included in unemployment. You're not considered unemployed. Your job is being a student. And then people who are retired, it's like, well, they used to have a job. What we're left over with is the civilian labor force. You have the people who are unemployed, and then you have people who are employed. Here's a breakdown by the numbers. You have about 300 million people in the United States. You have about 3 million people in the military, about 80 million people who are non-labor force, 1.5 million who are institutionalized, and then you have a labor force of about 150 million people. So that's people who are actually counted as capable of working, or is about half the United States population. Of that population, about 142 million people are employed, and about 8 million people are unemployed.